History, arguably the single most important cultural property. It is the great unifier of all societies, from classical to contemporary. It is happening all around us, every second, every minute, every hour of every day. A conspiracy of coincidence. It creates the contextual understanding of events that affects our lives. If we are vigilant enough, we can witness it happening. If we are keen enough, we can make it happen. By understanding it, we can alter the reality of the present or change the trajectory of the future. For without history, we are without purpose. We are without identity. Welcome to the gray area, where we examine history in hindsight. February 10th, 1763. The Treaty of Paris ended the French and Indian War. In the treaty, France ceded Canada to England. 1863. In Virginia, the first fire extinguisher patent was issued to Alanson Crane. 1870. The YWCA was founded in New York City. 1879. The electric arc light was used for the first time. 1897. The New York Times began printing all the news that's fit to print on their front page. 1923. Ink paste was manufactured for the first time by the Standard Ink Company. 1925. The first waterless gas storage tank was placed in service in Michigan City, Indiana. 1933. The singing telegram was introduced by the Postal Telegraph Company of New York City. 1935. The Pennsylvania Railroad began passenger service with its electric locomotive. The engine was 79.5 feet long and weighed about 230 tons. 1942. The Normandy, the former French liner, capsized in New York Harbor. The day before, the ship had caught fire while it was being fitted for the U.S. Navy. 1962. The Soviet Union exchanged captured American U-2 pilot Francis Gary Powers for the Soviet spy Rudolf Ivanovich Abel, who was being held by the U.S. 1962. The 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified. The amendment required the appointment of a vice president when that office became vacant and instituted new measures in the event of presidential disability. 1989. Ron Brown became the first African American to head a major U.S. political party when he was elected chairman of the Democratic National Committee. 1990. South African President F.W. de Klerk announced that black activist Nelson Mandela would be released the following day after 27 years in captivity. 1997. The U.S. Army suspended its top-ranking enlisted soldier, Army Sergeant Major Gene McKinney, following allegations of sexual misconduct. McKinney was convicted of obstruction of justice and acquitted of 18 counts of alleged sexual harassment of 6 military women. 1998. A man became the first to be convicted of committing a hate crime in cyberspace when the college dropout had emailed threats to Asian students. 1998. Voters in Maine repealed a 1997 gay rights law. Maine was the first state to abandon such legislation. 2005. North Korea publicly announced for the first time that it had nuclear arms. The country also rejected attempts to restart disarmament talks in the near future, saying that it needed the weapons as protection against an increasingly hostile United States. 2009. A Russian and an American satellite collide over Serbia. But rewinding all the way back to 1907, civil rights activist and politician Grace Towns Hamilton was born in Atlanta. She received her undergraduate degree from hometown, Atlanta University, before completing her master's degree at Ohio State University. She held teaching positions at the Atlanta School of Social Work, Clark College, and Lemoyne College in Memphis. While maintaining an active interest in the civil rights movement, Hamilton served as executive director of the Atlanta Urban League from 1943 to 1960, and also sat on the board of the Southern Regional Council and the Governor's Commission on the Status of Women, as well as many other voluntary positions. But she made her most lasting mark by becoming the first African American woman elected to Georgia General Assembly in 1965. She served in the Georgia House of Representatives until 1984. Today, a chair in the Emory University Political Science Department is named in her honor. You see, history, it does not discriminate between genders. It does not wait for it to become popular. Humans are the only thing that have ever made history. And when it comes to America, Ebon Noblesse have been at the forefront of making American history. To make change is to incite, influence, arouse the revolutionary spirit, and provoke the mass body to move in a direction towards change. And whenever it came time to make that push, Grace Town Hamilton rolled her sleeves up and began pushing. She did not wait. She did not yield. And because of it, history honors her well. You see, history, much like time, waits for no man. It is ultimately up to us to decide whether we choose to make it or be the reason we repeat it. However, no matter what side of it that you stand on, you can only learn from it by looking at history in hindsight.